What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I am your host, the bald, the beard, the beautiful Piers Austin, and we're brought to you live by MWA Podcast Network. And guys, it is Tuesday night. It is 9 o'clock, just a little past 9. I better put my phone on silent. But guys, it's time for you all to kick back, pour yourself a cold one, crack yourself a stiff one, roll yourself a green one, if that's the way that you like to go down. But as long as you kick back and relax, because it's Shooting the Shit Uncensored, baby, and I've got a very special guest. But guys, I hope you've caught all of my episodes this month. We've had on some amazing women from the world of professional wrestling. We've had Women Appreciation Month here at Shooting the Shit Uncensored, and we've had on some amazing guests. But guys, before we get on to tonight's show, I just want to take a quick pause for the cause to thank some sponsors. Now, ladies and gentlemen, first up is healthvape.com. Now, healthvape.com, they provide a healthy vaping alternative. There's no nicotine, no harmful or addictive chemicals, and they're vitamin infused. So make sure you head over to healthvape.com and pick up some of their vape and pod products. Use promo code MWAPOD at checkout to get a 10% discount. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you something, right? Like, I am an ex-cigarette smoker. I gave up cigarettes and I started using this thing, a vape. And you know what? I need a plan to get off it, and healthvape.com has got me covered. I have some of their products on their way to me now, which is going to mean I'm going to transition off my vape to that vape to no vape, which means healthy living all around. So I can't wait to get these products. But guys, you know what else you're going to need to check out after you check out healthvape.com? That is sleeves.com. Now, sleeves.com is the place to go if you're an athlete or somebody you know is an athlete. Sleeves offer great quality products, from arm sleeves, knee sleeves, headbands, compression tights, compression shorts, compression socks. If you're someone like me who's old as fuck, and when you go to the gym, you need to have some compression gear, you need to check these guys out. They've got everything, any type of athletic wear that you need, and they also have dirty boxes. Guys, I wear their dirty boxes every single day, and they are the most comfortable underwear I own. Make sure you check out sleeves.com. Use promo code MWAPOD on checkout to receive a 10% discount. Guys, also got to give huge shout outs to the MWA Podcast Network. We've had some amazing shows hosted by some amazing people, with people that are in the professional wrestling business. Unlike myself, we've got Killing the Business every Friday, 8 p.m. USA Eastern, which is Saturday at 10 a.m., hosted by former ECW original, the Kingpin, Angel motherfucking Medina. And you know that Angel is too hard to really control. We've tried to hold him back, but he just can't. He just lets loose and goes. It is a much watch, much listen to show, so make sure that you check it out. And while you're there, guys, checking that out, make sure you check out Get Funked, hosted by former WCW star Alan Kwee Funk. He's had on some amazing guests. He's bringing on a lot of guys and girls that he trained with in the WCW power plant, and also who made the roads with him back in the day in WCW and TNA. So you want to check out that. And also, guys, I can't forget about Nights of the Gimmick Table. Nights of the Gimmick Table is available on every Sunday night at 9 p.m. USA Eastern. That's Monday, 11 a.m. You want to check that out. That's hosted by the Dead Presidents, tag team legends in the US indie Northeast scene. Lowrider and Boogaloo every single week. They're bringing on guys that they've done shows with over the years, rode up and down the roads with, and they're telling amazing stories. So guys, make sure you check out all of the shows that we have available on the MWA Podcast Network, because we're continually bringing you some of the best pro wrestling content out there today from around the world. But guys, I'm going to bring out my guest at this moment. She is the one who'll be calling it right down the middle. If you're in the ring, don't try and give her a bribe, because she's a straight shooter. It's referee Jess. Jess, welcome to Shooting the Shit. Thank you for coming on.
Hello. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
I'm great. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. I've been wanting to have you on for a while now. And why not the month of June, which is Women in Wrestling Month here at MWA Podcast Network. So thank you for coming on. It's a great honor to have you.
Thank you so much.
But, getting into it, were you always a fan of wrestling growing up? Was that something that sort of always something you wanted to be a part of?
From when I was about 16 onwards. So my brother he used to watch wrestling when we were very little. So he would have been about 8, I would have been 6. He was into WCW, try and watch that every Saturday night, but I wasn't having it. I wanted to watch the press gang. But I found wrestling on my own years later when I was about 14. And I fell into it from there.
What was it that drew you into it when you were 14?
I think it was just that it was just so big and so loud, and it was like the soap operas my mum used to watch, but more vibrant, and it was just like nothing I'd ever seen before.
And at what point were you then saying, okay, now it's time for me to get involved? Like, did you know from that age at 14 that you were like, I got to be doing something with this or be involved somehow with this?
Yeah, so I actually wanted to be a wrestler. So I decided that when I was about 16. So I went all the way through school, like, yep, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. Didn't bother too much with my HSC because, like, I'm going to be a wrestler. What do I need school for?
Of course, you're going to get signed.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
18, straight out of school. I'm going to get signed, and yeah, the rest is history.
Right? Training. What's training? No. And then when I was 17, it wasn't a massive injury, but it was a pinched nerve in my neck. So between C6 and C7, which is sort of right where your neck becomes your back, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And so that stopped me from doing a lot of stuff for a long time. And it was just through physical therapy and going on through that I'm actually, fine is a strong word, but, I can do stuff now. So that's better than it was then. And so, yeah, but because of that, I didn't start training after school. I thought this is too dangerous. I can't do this without injuring myself. I can't do this without exacerbating this injury. Yeah.
So what was the final thing that you went, you know what? I'm going to go all in here. I'm going to give it a go.
It was actually after I'd moved to Canberra. So I moved to Canberra when I was 21. And then 9 years later, I went to a local Canberra show. So you see the posters dotted up every now and again. Oh, that's interesting. I might do that. But for a long time, I worked at Woolworths, and that included Saturday nights, which was when they ran their shows.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until, I changed industries, I had my Saturday nights free now. I'm like, yeah, screw it. They're just at the local community hall. I'll go down and check it out. So I checked it out. And the second show I went to, I got chatting with the lady next to me in the crowd. And I was telling her how all I wanted was to be a wrestler. And it was this big dream of mine when I was in high school. She's like, oh, well, that's interesting. See that man in the ring there? That's my husband. So let's chat to him after the show about getting you some training. Like,
wow.
Yeah, okay.
It was kind of like meant to be at that stage. Like,
yeah,
like it's almost like
exactly.
fate that you had that conversation. And after that show, did you end up having the conversation with this wrestler?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So I had a chat with him and a couple of the boys as well. And one of them, Tom Barrett, said, yeah, well, we train at this gym this time, this many days a week. You should come along. I'm like, okay. And so I did. That's where I started my training.
And did you go in there with the goal of being a wrestler?
Yes. Well, at least to give it a go, right? Because, I was 29, I was getting on a bit. I've never been, I played netball, I did martial arts, but I was never like this super big athlete, right?
Yeah.
But I figured I'd give it a go. Worst I could do is fail, right?
100%. Like, and I think that's the thing. Most people sort of just go, it's too hard. I'm just going to sit back and just not do it. But once you got in there, how did you find the training itself?
It's interesting. So I have a bit of martial arts background, and that included sort of judo, jiu-jitsu, a bit of grappling, sort of body arts. So I had my roles pretty much down pat from the get-go because I had that martial arts background. The hard bit was untraining myself to do break falls and training myself to do bumps instead. They're two very different things, which sort of kind of achieve the same goal, but one's a bit more violent than the other. Yeah. So just sort of untraining the break falls and training them into bumps was my biggest hurdle, and also learning not to punch properly. I got called the Lady of Rough Style very, very quickly after I started training.
You potatoed a few people?
Yeah. I mean, not intentionally, of course, but
Of course.
I mean, if you're trained to punch, then you punch. It's very hard to sort of drop your shoulder at the last second so that it looks like a good punch, but it's not actually hurting anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I completely get it. I have a background in boxing and MMA, and like I sit there and go, "How would you even throw?" Like, is it's like years of training your brain to throw a punch to make it have impact, and then it's like, oh, throwing a work punch. Like, how do you? What? It's hard to sort of break that mindset. But how long did it take before you
Exactly.
sort of started to figure that out?
A couple of weeks. So we were training 3 or 4 nights a week. So it took a couple of weeks to sort of break the habit and sort of get started on doing things like wrestling properly. But yeah, it was good.
And did you debut as a wrestler?
No. Mm-mm. So the way it worked, I mean, I suppose it's probably the way it works in most places, but I only sort of came up in one place, was you train to be a wrestler, and then as part of sort of getting you ready to debut as a wrestler, you work as a referee, so you can sort of get an idea of ring positioning and what it's like to be in front of a crowd, but without the crowd's attention being on you. So it sort of breaks that stage fright nice and early.
Yeah,
And
100%.
so I started refereeing a couple of months after I started training, and then I just decided I liked refereeing more.
Yeah. What was it about refereeing that you liked?
I think it was a few factors. I have a terrible memory. I've had a few concussions, so it's nice to not have to remember a whole match. And I think the other thing is I'm not I'm a very socially anxious person, so it's good to be able to have a position where I can be out there, but the focus isn't on me. So I can get out there, have fun, do my thing, but nobody's going, "Oh yeah, did you see that 3 count she did that with? Oh yeah, nah, yeah." No one's doing that.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I think that that's the thing where it's like the mentality is to be a good referee is to be the third person in that ring and just go unnoticed. That is probably the best thing that you can do. And, now, like, I think in this day and age, you're starting to see, like, I think some referees getting themselves over for the sake of the crowd. Like, I was watching AEW, which I haven't watched a lot of, and I've seen Aubrey Edwards, who amazing referee, but certain things she does, I'm just like, you're kind of taken away from the whole point of the match there in a way. But do you feel that now that there's opportunities for referees to get over?
I think getting over is a strong word. I think we've always had the ability to be recognised. If you look back at like the Earl Hebners of the world, so they're sort of known names, but they're not The Rock,
Yeah.
With Aubrey, though, actually, I kind of model my style after her. So the first thing I was taught in like the 10 minutes training I got before the show, the first match I ever refereed, was be invisible until you need to be seen and react as if it's a shoot. Because if you don't believe it, then the crowd won't believe it.
And you know what? That's the thing. I've seen like photos from you at shows, and your reactions are like, "Oh shit!" You know what I mean? Like the reactions are one thing, and that's why I probably saying getting a referee getting themselves over is not the right words, but the reaction to that to me is like what you would see in an MMA fight. If you see someone like get knocked out in front of you, you're gonna go, "Oh shit! Oh yeah, all right,
Yeah,
stop."
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
because it's right there. But the reaction side of thing, was that something that you felt come naturally to you? Like when you see like a spot, like a big spot, and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm not the kind of person to go, whoa, oh my God, look at that move. But I'll naturally just go, whoa, or just stuff like that. If I see a massive superplex, I'll be like, oh, are they okay?
Yeah, 100%. And but that also makes for the match as well. Like it gives it a lot more believability. And also, if you just sat there and went, okay, yeah, okay,
Well,
one.
I've seen some referees just kind of stand there and just look. Like some guys reaching for his life, about to tap out or grab the ropes, and the referee's just kind of standing there going, oh yeah, sick, cool. What are you going to do next? Rather than, getting in there and sort of indicating to the crowd that his hand reaching for the rope is what they should be focusing on.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing that gives them the opportunity for the referee to help get that spot more attention and more of a reaction as well. Because if the referee's like, you know what I mean? Like, it just adds to that sort of big fight atmosphere to a little bit.
Yeah, but like if you get down there right on their level and you're sort of pointing at the hand or at the rope, just saying, oh, I'm really watching this to see what's going to happen, then that's sort of, it adds to the believability as well. Like you're making people believe that this is a fight for their life.
Yeah, and besides Aubrey Edwards, like who else have you sort of really looked at as far as like role models and someone you just sort of watch when they work in the ring?
Rick Knox, Bryce Remsburg, and Todd Sinclair are my top four with Aubrey.
I think it's hard though to sort of really watch referees because when wrestling on television is so focused. Exactly. unless it's the special guest referee, like it's always on the sort of main two. But it's funny. I was actually watching Big Japan Wrestling the other night, and I was watching a show from 2001, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they had like this massive extreme deathmatch tournament thing happening, and every referee was a female referee. And this was back in 2001, and I'm like, damn, Japan was like progressive before like the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%. I mean, New Japan not so much now, but what did you say you were watching? Big Japan?
Big Japan, yeah.
And
it's just like you know what I mean? Because I was like, hey, whoa, this is like 2001. I'm like, I was quite surprised by that.
Yeah.
But they amazing refs though. They made the shows even that more spectacular as well by being that sort of something different that the world wasn't used to sort of seeing at the time.
Exactly.
But as far as like, refereeing, what would you say has been like the biggest match that you've been involved in so far in your career?
Oh, biggest. That's a good question. I mean, I think the biggest name that I've ever worked with is TJP. But as far as like the biggest match for me, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, my favorite would have to be Adam Brooks versus Lynx Lewis Jr. versus Matthias Clockett's Suplex. That was probably my favorite match ever.
What made that like your favorite out of all the matches you've reffed?
Well, it was sort of okay. So Adam Brooks is a brilliant communicator in the ring. Amazing. It was sort of the first time I'd ever felt like I was part of the match, even though I'd been part of probably hundreds of matches up to that point in my career.
Yeah. And like, what were you heavily involved in the match? Like, was there
not
spots
at all?
for you?
No. I think the most recognizable spot was so Matthias Clock had been thrown out of the ring, and I sort of stuck my head under the top rope to check on him, like, "Are you okay, bro?" Because it was a massive fall. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I just heard Brooksy behind me, "Stay down." And then all of a sudden, Brooksy and Lynx Lewis Jr. were down there as well, kind of looking at him. I'm like, "Yep, yeah, this is a moment. This is awesome." And that was sort of like the real standout for me.
And do you feel like, as far as like getting like someone to mentor you, has there been someone that can sort of help you contribute? Because you seem to really get the psychology and moments of where you should be as a referee and the moments that you can really enhance. Who's been someone who's really helped you along the way understand that?
Referee Nick, 100%, whether he meant to or not. But I also... I would watch a lot of his work at the shows we work together, like Wrestling Go, like FWA, and I just tried to be as much like him as possible because I think he's an excellent referee. But apart from that, Rob Messenger in Canberra was a referee for years and years before he was a wrestler. So he also coached and trained me a lot while I was down there as well.
It's almost like a particular art form, though, I think, like for a 100%. Referee. Like, you know what I mean? I think a lot of fans could go, I could easily get in there and be a referee. And it's like, no, bro, you definitely
They try and they're just like, how do you do that? But it's like, losing my ears. It's a kind of a factor of. Sorry, excuse me.
All good.
I think being hypervigilant helps. So that's, again, comes from the years of anxiety, sort of trying to look 2 steps ahead to see where everyone's going to be and where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
So good.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Nope, I think that's all.
I can hear you.
Oh, hang on.
Are you there?
I think yeah, I am, but my buds are stuffing up.
All good. Guys, while you're waiting for Jess to get her earbuds up and running, make sure you do us a favor. If you're watching this on YouTube, click that subscribe button. If you're watching this and finding this on Twitch, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you follow us. We have weekly shows going up multiple times a week. You got 4 different types of shows every single week. Plus, I do multiple episodes. And we're going to be start debuting a few more shows as well here on the MWA Podcast Network. So you can check out all the shows that you'll be able to want to see, from Shooting the Shit, Killing the Business, Get Funked, Knights of the Gimmick Table. And we've got a couple more little shows in tidbits that we got in up in our sleeves that we're going to be debuting. So Jess, are you back with me now?
Yep. I think I might just have to give up on them. They're not getting the feedback through to them, so it's like I'm wearing earplugs. But yeah, what was I saying?
We're talking about your career and obviously how like people have sort of mentored you along the way to understand the aspect, and also fans thinking how easy it would be to be a ref.
Oh yeah, and ring positioning as well. So yeah, like I said, it sort of comes from years of the old anxiety, hypervigilance, and sort of having to prepare myself for what's coming next rather than reacting to what's happening now, if that makes sense. So you sort of have to have, you sort of have to have a, not really a sixth sense, but like an idea of how to spot what's coming.
But I also think like timing as well. Like I think timing as a referee is so important. And you look at like some of the big matches and you see like, so as you mentioned, someone like before, like Earl Hebner, like in that big fight feel, it's like that slow count, that 1, 2, kick out, and just having that sort of timing to know that to really sort of help grab the people's attention.
Do you know the secret to that?
What's that?
Count it like it's a shoot. If they don't kick out in time, it's on them.
Yeah, right. I have seen that happen at a show where a wrestler didn't kick out in time. Really?
Yeah.
But it does.
Oh no.
But does that put heat on you or the worker though?
No,
like
not at all. Everyone out there recognizes that if they don't kick out on time, like they can hear my hand hitting the canvas next to their head. They can kind of see it as it goes up. And so they have to, I like a lot of them try and do like that, 2 and 7/8 kick out, and they don't always get there. And sometimes you can kind of gimmick it like, oh no, they got it up just as my hand hit the mat. The match is going to continue. But sometimes you can't really do that.
It's almost blatant where it happens, and it's just like,
it's like 3.
But
it's a lot harder to get away with it.
But I suppose as well, like as long as as long as it doesn't happen, like I suppose it happens in any matches. It's probably happened in WWE title matches that no one's ever
absolutely.
like. Yeah, none the
I heard it happened once in Montreal.
Oh wow, we're going back 97. I heard that as well. Complete work, but but as far as like doing it now, like as far as refereeing, I should say, what are your goals? Like, what do you want to achieve in wrestling?
God, I've pretty much done everything I want to do. I mean, it'd be nice to go around a few more capital cities. Like, I'd love to hit up Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane. Most of my family is sort of at the New South Wales, Queensland border area, so it'd be nice to do a show up there so they can go and see what I do. But I mean, in person anyway. But apart from that, like, I've pretty much done what I've set out to achieve.
Yeah. So, I mean, is there a goal to go overseas?
If I did go anywhere, it would be Japan. I'm far too accident prone to ever work in the United States in any capacity. I cannot afford health insurance. I mean, England, Ireland, Scotland, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, Japan would be awesome as well.
Oh, 100%. And, also I wanted to ask as well, because your look is quite unique as a referee, like coming out
Mhm.
with the long skirt. What was the idea behind bringing that out? Was it someone that gave you the idea? Was it your idea to begin with?
I dislike moving in trousers is the beginning and end of it. um, so I had this sort of knee-length skirt that I'm like, yeah, that could work. Pair of, as thick as I could get, black tights so that nothing could show if something did happen, and dress shoes. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's it. That's cool. I can do this.
Yeah, because it's quite a different look even for female wrestlers in the
Mm.
business. But as far as like, going over to Japan and working over there, like, have you had an idea of which promotions you'd want to go and work for?
Um, Tokyo Joshi, Stardom. Yeah,
Stardom's great.
like more of like the women focused promotions. That's sort
Yeah.
of where I want to go.
Oh, 100%. And,
Mm.
NWA is having an all women's pay-per-view. So, hopefully
Yeah, saw that.
someone might come across this interview. There's referee Jess may be available for it. So hit her up.
Maybe not until the borders open in like 18, 24, 36 years.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's probably been the hardest thing with COVID is everyone missing out on doing shows. Like,
Yep.
what did you do during the lockdown and COVID to keep yourself occupied and not doing shows?
I was still working full time, so I didn't really have much time off anyway. Like I wasn't doing shows on weekends,
Yeah.
but that just meant I was staying home both days instead of just one day.
Yeah. Fair
But
enough.
yeah, so right when lockdown hit, I moved from Canberra to Sydney. So April last year.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, so that was fun, terrifying. My friend Alex Irvine helped out a lot. He drove my birds and me to Sydney, so I didn't have to pay for expensive pet transport. He is just an amazing gem of a human being.
How did you feel? Like, how did you find moving from Canberra to Sydney? Like, that's a pretty big move.
In some ways, it was easier than the move from sort of northern New South Wales to Canberra, but in other ways, it was a lot harder. So when I did the first interstate move, my mum owned a removal and transport company. So she's like, yeah, no, it's fine. Just, we've got a truck going down there. Chuck your stuff on the truck. It's fine. Like, thank you, mum.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I had to organize it all myself and it was awful. Like, I had to book movers and just really specify that I need them to drop off the same day as they pick up because otherwise I'll be sleeping on a cold tile floor.
Oh, 100%. But
Mm.
what made you make the move to Sydney?
It was sort of a selfish motive more than anything. Like, I love Canberra. I miss it terribly. The travel was killing me. So I don't drive.
Mhm.
So every 3 months I was spending nearly $400 on a rail pass, which meant I could get the Explorer train, so which is like the long distance train from Canberra to Sydney. Takes about 4.5 hours each way because it stops off at like all the little country towns on the way. So I was sort of finishing work at 4:30 on a Friday afternoon, walking straight to the train station, getting the train to Sydney at 5, getting to Penrith where I was staying with a friend at sort of 10:30, 11 o'clock at night,
Mm.
working my butt off the whole weekend, and then sort of getting home at 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, just absolutely wrecked. I couldn't keep it up. I couldn't do it.
That's draining. How long were you doing that for though? Because that's draining.
So probably started August 2018. And then I moved in April 2020. And that
Yeah,
was
right.
sort
So
of
2 years of every weekend doing that. That's
Mhm.
brutal.
Yeah, like some days it'd just be like Western Sydney working wrestling go out at Marryong. That was fine. Other days it was also like the 2.5 hour drive north to Cessnock near Newcastle for Suplex, then 2.5 hours back, then the train to Central, then the train to Canberra, then another hour on the bus home, and
Yeah,
it
that's
wasn't
just
sustainable.
That's not even fun. Like, I feel for you for doing it, but it shows how much like passion that you have for the business that you're prepared to do that and to make those long trips and invest your weekends in, literally getting on a train for 4 hours to come to Sydney to work shows.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wouldn't have changed. I mean, okay, maybe I would have moved closer sooner. I wouldn't have changed it for the world, though. It was an amazing experience, and I'm so glad that I could do it.
Oh, 100%. And, is there any promotions out there in Australia that you'd like to sort of work for that you haven't yet?
Well, yeah. So sort of just the ones in the other major capital cities that I was talking about before. So sort of Wrestle Rampage over in Adelaide, EPW in Perth. I think Tassie Pro, do they work out of Hobart or do they sort of travel around a bit?
I think they're Launceston.
Oh, Launceston, yeah, cool. And then yeah, Venom up in Brisbane, that'd be cool as well.
Yeah, it's amazing how like wrestling now in Australia has so many top tier promotions that you can work for. But
Yeah,
you actually
exactly.
you actually got to work for Deathmatch Down Under, which is probably one of the newest promotions.
Yeah.
And our mutual friend Jay put out a tweet today saying that you're going to bury him. So
No, never. I never buried him.
I got to ask, like, how can you have heat with Jay? Jay's amazing.
I don't. He's like they're just the most brilliant person. They let me stay at their house while I was there, and they looked after me. They bought me pizza after the show, like that show Saturday night. If anyone saw it, they may have seen me do a bit of a bolt during the Glass Crush death match. I don't do violence super well. I had a bit of a panic attack, but yeah, they looked after me.
Were you okay afterwards?
Not for a while. I'm glad there was an extended intermission so I could cry it out, wash my face, redo my makeup as best I could, put on my big girl pants and get back out there.
Were you reffing that match?
We were both out there. So Jay was in the ring and I was on the outside. There were a few other people out there sort of making sure nobody died. So, just checking sure that making sure any cuts that they got weren't gushers, didn't like look like they nicked an artery or something that would require like urgent attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was right when Cal jumped off the entrance onto like the table with Guido, then the glass. That's when I tapped out. I'm like, no, I can't do this.
Was that your first time seeing your deathmatch live and in person?
I mean, there was the death match the night before, so like the 6 and out. I think it was a 6-man tag where it was sort of cricket bats with all kinds of fun things strapped to them, like cacti and Lego and stuff like that. Like I was okay with that. I'm like, oh, this is kind of gross, but it's fine. I'm not like as bad as I thought I would be. But yeah, it was just the glass that got me, man. I couldn't do it.
But you know what? That I have to say, and hats off to Deathmatch Down Under, because since their inception, I've really become friends with a lot of the guys, and they've seemed to put a lot of things in place. Because even deathmatch wrestling fans here in Australia, a lot of them haven't been to a deathmatch, and seeing it in person and watching it on a TV screen or a tablet,
two different animals.
100%, and seeing someone like brutally like that can be very traumatic. And the things that they put in place for people, just, hey, this is a safe place. If you're feeling a bit uncomfortable, we got you.
Yeah, 100%. So the whole management team there is amazing. Jay, Aaron, Joel, couldn't fold them. They were amazing.
Yeah. And like, how did you feel going back out there for the next match to referee it? Like, were you okay after that?
I was a little bit wobbly. So that was I think it was an 8-man tag with like the losers from the tournament plus Kid Valiant.
Yeah.
And so I was a little bit shaky. I kind of I missed a couple of things. I was a bit slow on a couple of things. But yeah, I was fine after that. I just sort of needed to get back on the horse, if that makes sense. Like just get
100%.
back out there, take my mind off it. Went home and cried later.
So in saying that, no more death matches?
No more glass death matches. Like, there were a few at Suplex that I did before deathmatch, and it was like light tubes and all kinds of fun stuff. And for a portion of that match, like it was two really good friends of mine, JB Hazard and Jackson Spade. And so for a portion of that match, I was just sort of standing in one of the back corners trying not to vomit and or cry. But like I got through it. I'm like, okay, well, I got through it. This is fine. I can do this. And then I found out I couldn't, which is fine. It's not for everyone.
I think it's probably harder as well when you know the people as humans, as not just as like two performers, but you're friends with them. There's someone that people that you care about. It's hard to it can be hard to watch, you know. So but I definitely think that DMDU as that promotion which would be able to have you come down there and just like, okay, well, we can get Jess to referee some non-glass matches. That's fine.
Exactly. And like they have other people there who can do the glass things, make sure people are okay. Like I think that was half the point of Guido's faction being out there as well, so they could sort of keep an eye on stuff as well. Joel was out there. So it's just an amazing crew all around. Like they really look after each other. They look after the people around them. They look after themselves. It's the best.
Oh, 100%. And, I think that Australian wrestling now, a lot of that sort of personality is like, it's funny. Like you talk to people from like the United States and other countries about wrestling, and they talk a lot about politics and throat cutters and, knee cappers and all that sort of stuff. And Australian wrestling, like a majority of the people that I've been exposed to and had interactions with on this show and others, is everyone is just super lovely and just wants to build the product up as opposed to building themselves up or an individual.
Yeah. I think that's a real feature of Australian wrestling. It's because I think deep down we know the scene is so small. We know everyone knows everyone knows everyone. We don't want to burn bridges. We don't want to sort of have heat with one guy because we had heat with a different guy.
Yeah.
I think the American scene's just so big they don't care. Like, I think the amount of workers we have in Australia right now would be about the size of the New York scene in America, honestly.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree with that. Like, but it's, Australia, we're growing, we're getting up there. We're making waves. But, that's the thing. For the longest time, we've been one of the only countries to have live wrestling. So, the world has really got an opportunity to see what Australian talent is putting out there.
100%. And I think if we can keep up this culture of looking out for your mate, we'll be fine.
And I think that's kind of like an Australian culture thing as well. Like Australians aren't really that dramatic. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've got friends from the States and Canada and stuff, and some of the stuff I'm like, bro, like why you have so much drama in your
life? Take a breath, calm down.
Yeah, like, dude, just have a cigarette and a Coke and shut the fuck up. Like, it's life will go on.
Basically.
Exactly. But you know what? It is that time of the show where it is 60 seconds with Piers. I have warned, briefed, informed Jess of this. We're going to keep this pretty straight down the middle. How it works is I'm going to ask Jess as many questions as I can in 60 seconds, and she's got to answer them. Are you ready to get going, Jess?
Let's do this.
All right, you give me the go ahead and we'll get this started straight away.
Ring the bell.
Snapchat or TikTok?
Snapchat.
Best subject at school?
Ooh, languages or history.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
Rude people.
Aliens, real or fake?
But real. 100% real.
Would you rather be 4'5" or 7'7"?
7'7".
Would you rather own your own boat or plane?
Boat.
If referee Jess came with a warning label, what would it say?
Doesn't play well with others.
If you had to pick an actor to play you in a movie about your life, who would it be?
Ooh, I mean, she's probably a bit old now, but Lucille Ball.
What is your go-to drink on a night out?
Tequila, orange juice, and cranberry juice.
Oh, what a mix.
Oh,
Favorite song to sing in the car?
Once More with Feeling from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Which Chris is hotter, Hemsworth, Evans, or Pratt?
Evans.
Okay. Home barbecues or nightclubs?
Home barbecues.
Gold class or VMAX?
I'm not rich enough for either.
Plain fairy bread or fairy bread with Nutella?
Plain.
That's time. That was 60 seconds with Piers. I think you did pretty well there. Like there was no freezing. You did amazing. And huge shout out to Richie Taylor because he knows why when we asked him certain questions. But we didn't have to have another episode like that. But Jess, thank you so much for coming on. It's been amazing talking to with you this evening. I'd love to have you on again sometime soon and do a part 2. But where can everyone find you on social media? And also, do you have merch out there where people can get a referee Jess shirt?
I've actually been considering doing 8x10s. So if you think that would be something that you're interested in, send me a message. Find me on Twitter, find me on Instagram. My Twitter is @refereejess. My Instagram is @refjess. Slide in my DMs. See if I can sort anyone out with some 8x10s. I've been thinking about it for a while, but referees don't really do merch, but I think 8x10s don't really count.
There you go. Hit up Jess, get some 8x10s. Maybe she'll even sign one of them for you as well, guys. So make sure you head over and pick up some merch from Jess. Follow her on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, wherever you have your social media. And guys, also just make sure that you go and check out healthape.com and also sleeves.com. Use promo code MWA pod on checkout to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Guys, next show we've got coming up, which will be Get Funked this Thursday with Alan Kiwi Funk. His guest is going to be Johnny the Bull Stamboli from WCW. Not many people. Johnny doesn't do a lot of interviews, we've been told, or do many podcasts, so this is going to be a must-watch, so you want to tune in for that. Then on Saturday at 10 a.m. Australian time, we've got Killing the Business with ECW Original, Angel Medina. And again, he's one guy I can't control. I can't reel him in. He just opens his mouth and words just keep spewing out. And guys, you know he's going to be keeping it 100. So you make sure you want to tune in for that. And then also on Sunday at 9 p.m. USA Eastern, Monday at 11 a.m. I apologize. Make sure you tune in for Nights at the Gimmick Table with the Dead Presidents, Boogaloo, and Lowrider. But Jess, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And as I said, we definitely have to get you on for a part 2.
100%. Let's do this again.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been awesome having you guys join us here for this conversation. But guys, until next time, we'll catch you soon. Peace.